Yeah, we can start.
Yeah, hi, good morning, everyone. I welcome you all on behalf of Oxford University Press and Mr. Vinay. So, the
Thank
reason why
you.
we had this webinar is that a lot of aspirants have been worried that what will happen about the UPSC exam now because of COVID-19. So, and how should they prepare with the use of limited resources that they have? So that is why Oxford University Press, in collaboration with Mr. Vinay Kumar G B, who is the founder director of InsightsIAS, who is the ex-bureaucrat himself, and he has been nurturing students to clear the UPSC exam, and he has guided more than thousands of students for the last so many years. They have cleared the exam itself. So, in collaboration with Mr. Vinay and InsightsIAS, we have brought this webinar to you, and now I'll request Mr. Vinay to start the webinar.
So, very good morning to everyone. Welcome you to Oxford University webinar. So, in this webinar, so we are going to talk about. So, hope I'm audible to everyone. Yeah. So, the webinar is about how to ace prelims with confidence. So now you must be knowing that the officially exam has been postponed prelims, and we don't know when it is going to be conducted. But with all the certainty, I can tell you that it is going to be conducted. UPSC, some people have this fear that what if the exam gets cancelled? So that is not a possibility. So I believe the probable date may be somewhere in the July last week or August first week. So keeping that in mind, so let us assume that August first week is the date when the prelims is going to be conducted. So we have around 2 months to prepare confidently, even if you are a fresher, even if you are a veteran, even if you are somebody who has given interview and waiting for the result, who wrote mains and didn't clear, get selected for interview and still preparing for prelims. Everybody has a chance to clear prelims, so that you should keep in mind, provided you closely follow what I'm going to discuss in the video. So it's all about the game of confidence. This exam is about game of confidence. So when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. You might have read about this quote. So it means that the tough people last, not the tough situations. So the tough COVID situation, which has created lots of uncertainty, is a temporary situation. Though it is bit dragging, it is a temporary situation. In these temporary situation, what needs to be done is you have to stay really very tough, very strong, very determined. So that is the only determinant factor which will help you succeed in this exam. Because when you get tensed, when you get anxious about the exam, you tend to waste so much of time. You deviate from your purpose, your goal, and you lose your focus. That ultimately affects your exam preparation. And the few of those people and those who are participating now, I'm sure you people are all very tough individuals, very determined individuals who really want to clear this exam. And you want to be in this position of IAS, IPS to manage these tough situations. Today, IAS, IPS people are at the forefront managing these situations. Every challenge that COVID has thrown at the people, at the government, IAS is managing it. So stay tough. Now is the time to stay tough. And so while staying tough is the prerequisite, so what should be the strategy for prelims? I'll just talk about briefly some of the things, keeping freshers in mind. So people are worried about number of hours and how many hours should we spend. Right now, keeping in mind 2 months you have to spend at least 10 to 12 hours. Right, that is the right amount of time. But you have already spending so much of time, more than 10 hours, 12 hours since January, February, exclusively for prelims. So in my opinion, now we have got 2 months more, and there is probability of 20 to 30 days getting reduced between prelims and mains. So you should spend at least 2 to 3 hours on optional as well. Optional is extremely important if you want to uh, score very good marks in mains. You should have a target of 300 plus, and that will come only with gaining specialized knowledge in the subject of optional. So spend 2 to 3 hours every day, mainly to revise whatever you have already done in the optional, plus if possible write one answer every day for the previous optional question papers, at least for last 10 years. Go from 2019 to 2010. So select these question papers and start writing topic wise one or two answers, and that is with respect to overall strategy, right? Then 70% of your time, say like at least 8 to 9 hours should be spent only on prelims. So that I will deal with how to spend that time. And then there is this question of eternal question, like current affairs versus static. Some people say I'm poor in current affairs, some people say I don't remember current affairs, I'm weak in it, and then some people say that should I focus more on static. So if you observe closely the pattern, since 2016, there is a visible change in the pattern of UPSC prelims question paper. So the way they are setting the papers, you cannot perfectly delineate between static and current affairs. So they are kind of intermixed. So whatever static question is being asked, so you can trace back its root in the current affairs. So that is how it is being done in prelims and mains. So for that, you shouldn't spend too much time on either only on current affairs or static. So within static, you should know that there are certain chapters, certain topics which are very important. So in the following slide, I'll be talking something about footprints. So that will give you an idea about what I'm telling now. So static should be done very selectively. So if you're studying Indian polity, I would recommend you to study around 4 to 5 chapters 10 times rather than reading entire book 2 to 3 times. So which chapters I will talk about in the next slide. And with respect to current affairs, now having only 2 months. So you might have already studied current affairs. Now in these 2 months, the best way to go forward, cover current affairs very effectively is to solve current affair quizzes. So you get current affair quiz compilations from our website. So you can download them, solve them. Every month has around 120 questions. So it covers 120 issues. Solve those questions and read the solutions comprehensively, make small notes. So that is one quickest way to cover current affairs. Second is to go through our revision modules. So go through revision modules which we have given for all the subjects: environment, economy, polity, history. For every current affairs, we are given revision modules, so that you should read. And then you might have followed that 75 days Insta revision plan. So there we are giving so many current affairs questions. And then of course test series, every test has around 30 to 40 current affairs question. Your best bet is to thoroughly revise current affairs quiz compilation plus questions that are there in the test series related to current affairs. So if you can master these, it is very good. So don't go with the bulky compilations now. So don't sit with 1 month's bulky compilation and read it for 3-4 days. That is purely waste of your time. Then understanding versus memorizing. So you cannot memorize each and everything for the prelims. The best way forward for you is to understand in the sense that you have to correlate things. For example, that again I'll mention it in the following slide in the footprints. What does understanding means? So here, for example, if you are reading something about biotechnology, so you should know that the topic, how it is going to be asked in the prelims, you should have an idea about it. So that idea you will get only from following the previous year question papers. So there is a thread of common element between past few years question papers. So whatever issue, whatever fact you are reading, don't blindly mug up because you think that it is important or because it is given in the website. So you can ignore certain facts because they are not important or deemed important, considered important from UPSC. So that you will understand by the previous year question papers, right? And then with respect to previous point, static. So solve all last 20 years static questions from previous UPSC papers. So that is most effective way to cover most important topics. And then of course giving mock tests. In my opinion, it is the best way to prepare for prelims is to solve any one mock exam. Rather, it can be InsightsIAS or any mock test series. So solve it at least 3 to 4 times. Same test series, do it 3 to 4 times rather than going for 3-4 test series one time. So that is very stupid thing to do and very dangerous thing to do. You want to just solve all the question papers. You do it only one time and with half-hearted approach. That doesn't give you the necessary skills to eliminate. And then revising solution synopsis. So let us assume that there are so many tests and you have very less time. So this is an important tip. So what you need to do while revising, because there is so much to revise those questions where you have got answers wrong. So whatever questions you have got wrong, you have to revise them. Then make small notes, and the questions where you commit mistake, you remember better. So give priority to that. Whatever you have got already right, you don't have to read too much about it, even if there is lots of information. So that is a temptation, but you can avoid it and read only where you got it wrong. And then thinking. So here thinking means it's about something called curiosity, being inquisitive. So while solving any question, you should ask yourself, if a person from UPSC who is going to set the question paper, if he sees this particular question, what he or she will do? Definitely they are not going to repeat the same question. So then they can extrapolate. They can ask similar question. They can ask question on similar theme in a different dimension. So while solving these questions, while revising these questions, you have to think like. So I'll just go through the cutoff. In 2016 it was 116 for general category in general studies 105 in 2017, and 2018 it was around 98. So 2019 our guess is somewhere again around 99 or 100, or around 101, somewhere it is in between. What it implies is that the paper is getting tough, the competition is getting tough. So it is not like earlier people used to score 120, 130 so easily. It is only very few people are able to score 110 plus. So whatever we discussed previously, solving n number of marks again and again is always intended to push you towards 120 plus. OBC, SC, ST, other PH category scores, whatever we discuss, like even if you belong to SC, ST, OBC, always aim to score 120 plus in the prelims. So don't limit your targets to the cutoff of your category. That is very wrong. So if you end up with your own category score, sometimes you may miss better rank, better cadre. There are various factors in the end. So if you can clear everything in the general category, you may get better service, better cadre, and sometimes home cadre. So there are other factors which is not relevant today. But aim 110, 120 plus, that can be achieved. So I'll just run through themes. So what UPSC is doing, like since 2011, the pattern got changed. So there has been very visible trend that UPSC is asking questions centric to certain themes. So these themes have changed post 2011. And what UPSC wants is a thinking individual, an individual who is very sensitive to his surroundings, who is sensitive to the issues around him, who understands the core issues that affect the polity, economy, and society of a country. So based on that, so there are certain themes. For example, when it comes to ecology, climate change, and biodiversity, so treaty, conventions, and bodies, biodiversity, concepts of ecology, pollution, and protected areas like national park. So these are this is between 2011 to 18. So these form the major chunk of questions asked in the environment section. So if you are preparing from environment, a textbook or anything, I would recommend you to read more about these first 5 things plus climate change, right? So instead of reading from end to end, so better to go through the most important chapters. So go through, like, is there any important treaty convention bodies? And I'll come to footprints. How to identify which is important. No, what is happening is that some people are telling that UPSC is asking current affairs from 2011, 12, 13, 14. It is not like that. So if paper sector is referring to this is an important point I want to make. How will UPSC paper setter set the paper, frame the question paper? So I believe there are, like, 10 to 15 different committees or something. Their first approach will be to go through previous year question papers, because they want to understand the nature of the trend, the nature of the questions. The template is the previous year question paper. So if they see a question on, say, a particular convention, so let us say Minamata convention or something like that. So now his thought gets triggered. Okay, he will ask, okay, so this is about some particular chemical or something. Now should I ask something similar, or extrapolate it to some other convention? So he will refer some UN website, and they go back to 2 years and start thinking about a question which will test your not only factual, your ability to link an event, from present to the past. You will have to understand an event in its entirety. So that is what here they are trying to test. So similarly, in the Indian economy, macroeconomic concepts like GDP, inflation related, there were 32 questions between 11 to 18. And then with respect to monetary policy, 19 questions, banking related 18 questions, then schemes specific to economy were 18 questions, and then international institutions 16 questions. So if you are reading the same like in the previous, you will have to identify these things. And if you analyze last 20 years UPSC question papers, people ask, when it comes to Indian economy, how to prepare, how to read and all. If you ask me, I would recommend you not to read bulky textbooks for Indian economy. The best way is, first, be thorough with last 20 years, all the economy related questions. Secondly, whatever that has been in news with respect to Indian economy, if it is covered in a current affairs quiz or test series, literally remember them, memorize them, and understand them. And then thirdly, there is also a question bank. Like last 5-6 years, we have given n number of economy questions. So Oxford University Press has published question bank on Indian economy. So there again, selectively, not each and every chapter. So you can solve these questions. Similarly, in world geography, so climatology, it is 16 questions, mapping around 11 questions. And then Indian geography with respect to the places of importance. So mapping means, the places which were in news, which were of lots of significance, socially, culturally, economically, and politically. So the places which were of importance, they have been asked. Agriculture, 12. Indian polity, parliament, union government, and judiciary. So these three form the core of Indian polity. So that's what I was telling. If you're reading Indian polity book, I would recommend you to read chapters on parliament, union government, judiciary, DPSP 10 times. Remember each and every final details of these chapters, plus fundamental rights. That is tricky. That from there tricky questions do come. So read these chapters 10 times. Remember every finer detail rather than trying to read entire book. So this is extremely important. So modern India, Gandhian era. Gandhi is a very favorite theme for UPSC, both in prelims and in mains. So here it is equally distributed, kind of, because the history doesn't have so much of current affair related stuff. So science and technology, biotechnology 20, information technology related around 14, space related 10, then disease related 9. So overall, in these themes, what it implies is that UPSC is trying to test your knowledge about the corest of core topics which are in the news, the larger themes that affect all the entire humanity, and more so about the India itself. So that kind of themes are being asked again and again. So in science and technology, biotechnology, in polity, it is parliament, which we see every day. So any aspirant who wants to be part of civil services must know in depth, and must have the deeper understanding of these core themes, or current affairs, or events or processes which keep taking place again and again in the uh, uh, country or around the world. So give importance. If you are reading newspaper, if there is something on biotechnology, immediately make a note of it. So don't try to make note of each and everything that is there in the science and technology. So understanding these themes is extremely important, because it simplifies your preparation and it helps you pinpoint on to certain topics where you can have the mastery. So you cannot master each and every topic in prelims, but whereas you can master few topics which are of too important from prelims point of view. So similarly, art and culture, Buddhism, don't read entire textbooks on art and culture. So that is an useless exercise. So read more about Buddhism, something related to temples, monasteries, civilization, that is after that. But if there are 5 questions, there are going to be like 2 to 3 questions on temples and Buddhism. So you don't have to get all 5 questions right. So you have to approach prelims with the mindset that you are not going to answer all 100 questions. Right. So because you go with the mindset that you should know answer to all 100 questions. That is why you get stressed. All you need to do is get 70 questions right. So out of 70, get around 55, 60 right. So you will easily clear prelims. So don't go with the mindset that you are going to clear 100 questions, because when you see starting 10, 15, 20 questions for which you don't know the answer, you won't panic if you go with this mindset. So it's very important. Before entering prelims, prepare yourself that you don't know answer to all the questions. All you want to know is 60, 70 answers. If you don't know even first 10, first 15, first 20 questions, never panic, because going forward, rest 70, 80 questions you will be able to answer based on whatever knowledge you have gained. And always remember, if it is tough to you, it is tough to everyone. So it is not that UPSC has selected you, isolated you, and has given you the difficult paper. So now trace the footprints. This is the most important part of this particular webinar. Now last year we had this question, RNA interference. Technology has gained popularity in the last few years. So what is footprint? For example, if there was a question on biotechnology in 2011, if the paper setter wanted to set question paper for 2012, you would see that biotechnology question in 2011. Now his thought process is triggered, and he would want to ask, as I told in the earlier, question from different dimension, extrapolate the theme, and ask something related to biotechnology. So RNA interference was in 2019. And Cas9 is something related to CRISPR, CAS9 protein, then again in the CSP19. So actually both are related to something related to gene expression, decoding the gene expression. So we started with the 2011 Human Genome Project. Since then, after that, GM food, GM plants became a kind of craze. So then there was genetically engineered plants question, then question on genetic engineering, then BT brinjal, stem cells, recombinant DNA technology, transgenic crop, transcriptome, somatic cell transfer, genome sequencing. Right. Almost every year they have asked questions related to within biotechnology. Biotechnology now is a huge area. So within that, they've asked the core area of biotechnology where one particular application of technique or technology with respect to gene slicing or gene decoding gene expression, which can have a huge impact in terms of discovering life-saving drugs for genetic diseases or diseases which cannot be cured by ordinary medicine. So UPSC is focusing on this particular theme, which has huge significance for entire humanity, right? So if RNA interference was the question in 2019, now I told you you have to think like an exam paper setup for 2020. So what can be the expected question? So I would, while reading RNA interference, I will see that, okay, who got Nobel Prize for discovering RNA interference technology, right? So I'll go back and it is a factual question, but still I want to know that how it led to RNA interference. What kind of, was it serendipitous invention or discovery, or they intentionally did something like this? So that is what I meant in the curiosity, in being inquisitive. Again, there is a limit to that. I will limit myself only to something which can have large impact on the humanity, and I'll restrict and learn about it. So the same should be repeated to all the themes. Then with respect to reports, global competitiveness report, and then there is ease of doing business report, which are frequently in the news. Then rule of law, gender gap report, ease of doing business, global economic prospect. So these reports have larger implication for the entire economy of a country, or a global issue with respect to inequality, with respect to lack of access to law, or lack of rule of law, something like which have again huge implication for the entire country. So you don't have to read small obscure reports just because UPSC is asking one or two questions. Don't panic and read each and every report. So think, so this is with respect to reports with respect to economy, with respect to environment, with respect to within environment, climate change, then with respect to the major social issues, with respect to refugee crisis, now with respect to diseases, pandemic. So I would see which global reports have were previously come up with respect to pandemics, if at all I'm reading or expecting a question on that. Then similarly in geography, something, so in geography, we saw that earlier that the climatology is a favorite, because climate is something which is very dynamic in nature, which affect each and every day, and it's a most visible phenomenon when it comes to geography. But just to give an example, with respect to physical geography, there is this so much love with Andaman Nicobar when it comes to UPSC. So this was about Barren Island in 18. And something related to Andaman question, the corals, 10-degree channel, vegetation, new species discovered, then tribal related question was there, then Sumatra Island, and the question was which is nearest to Nicobar in 2017. So this happens, like why this is not like, UPSC is fond of Andaman Nicobar, wants to test, your in-depth knowledge about Andaman Nicobar. Sometimes when people are setting paper, I'm sure people who set the paper might change every year. So if a person sees Andaman Nicobar question in the last year paper, now he wants to set another question, maybe related to the theme, but in a different dimension. So that is why they went to Sumatra Island, nearest to Nicobar, and then 10-degree channel. After talking about vegetation, tribes, and species and corals and all. So this year, so you have to think about, okay, if nothing from inside Andaman Nicobar, what is nearby to Andaman Nicobar? Or was there any important current affair with respect to mainland and Nicobar? So like that you will have to ask question and be prepared to that. The probability of a question coming is very high, right? So this unburdens you, thinking like this, preparing. So even in prelims test series, we from Insight especially, there is a clear instruction to our team to prepare questions in this manner. So because we have understood this kind of trend, so more sometimes it appears that we are asking questions from nowhere, which is not there in the current affairs. That is because we extrapolate like this. If we see particular question about Sumatra Island, so then we extrapolate it to something which was not there in the current affair, but which is very much relevant to the last year's theme. So that's why give importance to each and every question that is asked in the test series. So one test series 3 to 4 times should be your go first strategy. And other similar things. So it was about Andaman Nicobar and all. Then Buddhism is similar. Coal, seas and countries surrounding it. So there is always a question on it. Minor minerals. Within minerals, there are minor minerals, rare earth minerals. Then with respect to banks, small finance bank, payment bank, lead bank, marginal standing facility, and monetary policy committee, vegetable oil tribes, Buddhism, emerging resources, historical background, amendments to constitution, right? Again, with respect to constitution, like I talked about parliament. So within parliament, the speaker is important theme, and then the parliamentary committees is an important theme. Office of profit bill was an important theme. So like that, delimitation commission, office of anti-defection law, that is with respect to amendments. Again, amendments which have larger consequences to the polity of the country are the important themes. So while solving all these things, you should always cultivate, improve the skills of identification of these footprints, themes. Elimination is an extremely important. You cannot know all the options for sure. So you will have to eliminate based on common sense, based on your intuition. And with respect to intuition, I have a point to make. The intuition is an extremely important. You should stop overthinking in the examination. Sometimes if you believe in your preparation, if you think that you have touched upon all important areas, revise them very well. In the examination, blindly trust your intuition, the instinct. The moment you see a question, sometimes you know that this is the right answer. Go for it. So don't again overthink it, right? So you fear it because it's the real examination. So that is why you have to do trial and error with respect to these things in the test series. Take random test, solve it, apply all your instinct, intuition, your skills. And then we have written how to avoid overthinking on our website. You can just go to Google and search how to avoid overthinking, how to do better intelligent guessing. So these articles give you clear picture. With examples, we have demonstrated how to guess intelligently, how to overthink. So these will definitely help you. Read them again and again and apply them in most of the questions. So we are coming up with similar articles in a few days for this year prelims as well. So then about multiple people have 3 rounds approach. First you just go through the paper, whatever easy ones you get, you mark them immediately. So don't, this is a wrong approach to first mark in the question paper, then mark in the OMR sheet. So have conviction, and 1 or 2 might go wrong, don't worry. But best approach is to, in the first round itself, go on marking in the OMR sheet, whichever you know for sure, like 100%. It can be 25, 30 questions, don't panic. Even if it is 10, 15, 20 questions, mark them for sure. Then come for the second round where we know that 70, 75% of the answer. And then guess intelligently and apply all the skills and do them in the second round. Third round is a risk round where see, in the type of question papers being given post 2017, 17, 18, 19 and 20, which is going to come, the number of attempts should be somewhere around 80 to 85. That is the optimal number. Some people take a chance with 90 plus and get good scores. So these are like exceptions, but optimal number is around 80 to 85. So beyond 85, taking risk beyond 85, you should be extra careful. It is not advised that you go beyond 85. So try to practice in these tests, and out of 85, your the rate of accuracy must be around 80%. So for example, if you are giving insta test, always try to improve your accuracy rate to 80%. So the moment you hit accuracy rate of 80%, so that like if you are attempting 100 questions, 80 questions must be right. right? If you are attempting 80 questions, then 60 questions must be right. So if you attempt or achieve 80% of accuracy rate, then you can easily clear, or you can easily get 120 plus in the preliminary examination. So while giving these marks, always keep in mind accuracy rate of 80% and strive to achieve 80% accuracy rate. So that is a must. So it's not about how many rounds, it's about accuracy rate. And our prelims portal gives all these data and all, you can go through that. So to apply all these techniques, all these themes, this is about a 75 days revision plan. So whatever themes we discussed in the previous slides, the footprints and all, that we are going to add to the coming up timetable of 70. We are going to extend 75 days revision plan, keeping in mind that there are 2 months. So we are not giving up on you people. So we want to keep you really very busy till the prelims. I personally understand the importance of keeping oneself very busy. So that is why we have this packed timetable. I know that you cannot achieve 100% of it, but at least if you can even touch 70% of this timetable, you can not only clear prelims, you can clear mains as well. So that is my conviction, my belief. That is why we push you to tell, okay, push you, believe in this timetable, follow it blindly. So to keep you busy, we will extend it. So when in the extended updated timetable, so as some students gave us feedback in the comment section, what we are going to do, we will include these footprints themes. For example, say on the 76th or 77th day, we will ask you to read only Buddhism, so that you thoroughly read Buddhism, and then about temple related questions. So similarly with reports related to when it comes to environment, we'll have selected themes. So all the footprint related themes, and ask you to prepare thoroughly well for these things, so that by end of so June, you will be thorough with all these themes. So in the timetable, we will ask you to read about these themes from the previous year question papers and our own insights test series, so that you can narrow down to few sources, as I've been repeatedly telling you. So there is CSAT timetable also. CSAT, which is you cannot ignore. You may be from IIT super brilliant with CSAT, but still don't ignore it. Give at least 5 to 6 full-length papers within 2 hours. CSAT speed is the key, nothing else. The questions are not that tough. You can easily score 80 to 90 marks, provided you can manage to answer at least 50 questions in 2 hours. So you just have to improve the speed. So just don't panic. With some people have this fear of CSAT. The fear of CSAT is the killer of CSAT, not the CSAT questions. Always remember this, because you go with the fear. The moment you don't answer few questions in the paper, you panic, you sweat, and then you start trembling, and they say you go bonkers or something like that. So that happens because of the fear. So don't. That is what you should go with the mindset that you want to answer only 45 to 50 questions, not all 80 questions, right? So you can answer 50 questions provided you do 5 to 6 full length marks as the exam like condition, solve them, and don't ignore CSAT. So this is about features. Like if you're an Insights follower, you may be knowing that there is minimum 3 times revision. Daily we post around 25 questions plus from GS and 5 CSAT questions, and we are asking you to cover only important stuff: current affairs quiz, our mock test, and the previous year UPSC papers and revision modules. Please go through that. If you haven't followed it till today, the best way forward for you is to solve all Insta 75 days questions which are posted till now. Plus, start following it from today. Still you will have one more revision. So first day we received around 889 comments, and people are very happy with the way the things are going. So it is mainly because of the huge enthusiasm of you people. You people are really very inspirational, very supportive, and very dedicated. It actually we wonder, like there are so many committed aspirants. So that commitment, that determination from your part is extremely important. So the participation is huge. So still it is going very well. And we gave something called as Mitra sheet for everyday assessment, my Insta test revision and assessment. So here you can actually update every day how much improvement you are making, where you are making mistakes. So we are seeing people who used to score 5-6 marks in the first test are now scoring 15-16 marks. That is a tremendous improvement. That's only because of you and your dedication and your commitment and your consistency. Yeah, so these are Oxford University question banks, Indian economy, and environment and ecology is available on Amazon. Please buy it. And there are small tests within the book, and the questions are very carefully crafted and framed and given in the book, so that, and again, you don't have to do the entire question bank. As I said in the beginning, do selectively, but compulsorily solve these questions from these books. They will put you in an advantage compared to all other competitions. So this I already talked about, solving the questions and all. So we are coming to queries, and before that I just want to end this discussion with one thing, that consistency is the key. So no matter where you stand, even now, I personally I'm a very positive, very optimistic person. I believe that even in these 60-70 days, which now we have got as bonus thanks to COVID, if we can give everything to this exam, study like 12 hours, 14 hours, even if you're working, somehow squeeze time, don't sleep. That is how you have to win the competition. Be tough, extremely tough, and win the competition. And do whatever I asked you to do in this webinar, solving question papers a number of times, identifying the themes, footprints, and focusing much on them again and again, will give you the required confidence. And you have to do it continuously. So what is affecting nowadays is all the disturbing things that are happening around you, uncertainty. So don't worry too much about it. Now, for now, you can donate some money and all. Now you cannot go out and solve the issue, right? So I keep telling it, as an IAS, you can do so much for the country, so much for the world. So get into the system. So to get into the system, this is the right time. Make use of it and study like hell. You don't give up right now. And you have website, you have computer, you have even mobile. You can, wherever you are, you can actually study. The only thing that should be that is required is your own willingness to do it, your own willingness to isolate yourself from all the distractions around you, and just focus on the examination. So examination will be conducted. You have to pass this exam. Whoever listening to this particular webinar, make a resolve that you are going to clear this exam, not only prelims but also mains. And after prelims, we are going to have a program for mains as well. So we are with you. Publishers like Oxford are with you. Everyone is with you. The thing is, you be with yourself. No, that is what actually matters most. So now you can ask any queries.
Yeah, so Mr. Vinay, students have a lot of questions, and
Yeah, please.
I'll be reading them out to you.
Yes.
So there is one core question that has come from a lot of students. Students are asking that what month of current affairs now they have to study. They have to study from March to July, or they have to study only till May. So till what month should they study the current affairs now, given the deferment of the exam?
Okay, that's an important question. So I was talking about current affairs quiz earlier. So with respect to current affairs quiz, I would ask you to do all the questions from January 2019 to till the end of June, right? So usually the question paper is set somewhere around 15-20 days before the examination. So this year 2020 question paper is not yet set. It was supposed to be set, I think, now in the first week of May. So it is because it is not yet set, because they are still uncertain. Now, but of course, what is current affairs now? Everything is related to more of COVID and all those things, right? So, but if you want other current affairs, so in I can initiative on YouTube. We are covering, which are important from the prelims and mains point of view. You can go through that, but I would recommend you to solve till read till June, end of June. Don't restrict to mains till May, because for anyway mains again you will have to read. So now reading paper very quickly, but solving quiz is more than sufficient, I think. Not reading each and every current affairs that is coming up. Okay, next question, Sahil.
The next question that one Arjun Reddy is asking is that due to availability of extra time, does the competition now, will it now increase?
So it's an interesting question. What I personally believe is that yesterday also somebody asked, will the question paper be very tough? Because now people have got more time. See, what happens is that we humans, everybody is not very strong. Now we get so many mails and messages that people are actually worried and very confused. So when somebody is confused, anxious, worried about uncertainty, the competition actually decreases. In the sense that you, Mr. Arjun Reddy, if you are very strong now, I think you are going to easily clear this examination right now. So I don't think competition is going to get tough, because it's not easy to focus on the examination right now. Say, like, who is your competition right now? So your biggest competition is people who are given mains, people who are given actually interview. So most of them are like, uncertain, because some people haven't given interview, some people have given and waiting for the result. It's not easy to focus, right? So I don't think competition is getting tougher. The competition is same actually. The question paper, will it get tough? I'm sure like it will be little bit tougher than 2019 or 18 paper, but not very tough. With this kind of good preparation, because you have time, you can easily clear the examination. And tough is very relative now. It's about skills. If you can completely remain calm in the examination hall, that itself is, you are the winner. Again, most of the people fail in prelims because of anxiety, not because of lack of knowledge. And some people, if you are brilliant, you know that you get difficult questions right and easy questions wrong because of overthinking or some confusion. This is a common thread. And if you understand these things, even if the question paper is tough, you can easily sail through. And it is tough for everyone, and it doesn't matter. Next question, sir.
Yeah. So the next question is that so this is asked by Mr. K.R. Yadav. He's asking that how one can manage reading as well as paper solving simultaneously.
Yeah. So in these 2 months, I would ask you to stop going through the textbooks. So earlier I already talked about it. The best way is reverse engineering. So if you want to read polity, or like if you want to read environment, now the environment question bank, for example, start from question bank, and within question bank, because there is detailed solution, just restrict to that much, right? So reading should be through reverse engineering. Whichever concept you are not very clear, only those concepts go back to textbook and read, rather than reading the entire textbooks. People have this, this is still the old mindset, that I should spend 3 days on economy, 5 days on polity and all. The best way is through reverse engineering. So get the question bank. If you don't have question bank, through the previous year UPSC question papers or our own question papers, and from there you do that. Read the textbook. And reading solution must be the priority rather than reading the textbooks. The next question, Sahilji.
Yeah. So next question is from Manthan Naik. He's asking that in regard to economics, is it necessary to read macro microeconomics of 12th NCRT?
No, microeconomics, absolutely don't read it. So you don't read the textbook. Macroeconomy, again, you read it only with respect to concepts related to inflation, GDP, and with respect to concepts related to banking system. And that is what macroeconomic concepts, which are frequently in the news. right? And again, the textbook doesn't have the latest, new institutions created, new mechanisms created in the Indian economy, new policies. So that are there in the economic survey, and economic survey summary we have published that you can go through.
Right. So the next question is being asked by Swati. She's asking that kindly address the question of elimination techniques. For instance, sometimes an elimination technique works for her, but then there are higher chances that it doesn't work next day. So how to identify these elimination techniques?
See, elimination technique, what you need to do is that to understand the elimination technique, you should understand the language of the UPSC. So our language in Insights question paper will be slightly different than the UPSC question papers. So that is why I keep repeating that elimination is actually proportional to the way you understand the language of the UPSC question paper. Once you internalize the language of the question paper, and again, the UPSC is not a static body in the sense that it keeps changing its way of asking questions. So earlier, 1 and 3 would be right choice. All of the above would have been the right. Now all of the above is not right answer in last 2 years. So in the UPSC questions. So it is in the end it is a gamble, but to get better at it, the best way is to solve large sample of questions related to particular theme. So this is where the question banks come into picture. For example, if you want to solve n number of questions on say national parks, so if you have around 100 200 questions on national parks with the different themes, you use your elimination techniques. So somewhere you will it is all about strengthening your intuition and applying certain particular logic as well. And there is no clear cut rule how to eliminate properly, but in our website we have illustrated with few examples that is based on the previous UPSC papers. That might help you, but because it is the nature is very dynamic, the best way is to solve multiple questions particularly related to particular theme. So that is the only way to strengthening the elimination. Of course you get something wrong, it's something right, but with more practice, the accuracy rate even in elimination also increases. So this is my observation.
So Vinay, there is one question which has come from a lot of students. They are asking that given the situation, the deferment of the exam, what should be the proper division of time right now for both prelims and mains?
So it depends from student to student, but like if I want to generalize and say that, so in mains, scoring very good marks, like I keep telling you, people to target 900 plus, right? So for that, scoring 300 plus in optional is extremely important. GS 1, 2, 3, is proportional to the amount of knowledge you have. You will gain that over 2 months already. You might have gained it as part of prelim preparation. But when it comes to essay, ethics, and optional, they are especially essay and optional, you cannot pin down and prepare particular topics. So what needs to be done is that you have to allocate time for essay, ethics, and optional in your day's time. So what I believe is that 30% of the time can be given to these three. Essay, you don't have to do it every day. Ethics and optional, give at least 3 hours. I mean, whatever time, like if you're spending 10 hours per day, 3 hours for optional and ethics, and 7 hours for preparing for prelims. Whatever you prepare for prelims, say for example, today you were reading something related to art and culture. So you were solving around 200 art and culture questions. Every fact you are getting out of this 200 question will be useful in the mains art and culture. So there are 2 to 3 questions. The knowledge you gain from these 200 questions can be directly applied to answering those 2 to 3 questions in the mains. So like the GS 1, 2, 3 will be taken care. The remaining 30% of time, 2 hours or 3 hours, you give it for optional. Strengthen your optional. Their expectation is huge in optional. They want specialized knowledge to be displayed in optional. So especially paper 1, most of the optional has theoretical component. So there you have to be very strong. I would ask you to do paper 1 in this 1 month thoroughly. remember each and everything that is there in paper 1. The peripheral areas and obscure areas, you start from those things. The areas where people usually neglect or omit, read them, right? Try to make notes or answers for them, and 1 hour or half an hour you give it for writing one ethics answer and one case study alternatively. If you write today one ethics answer, tomorrow you write one case study. So ethics is directly proportional to the more practice. You can read for half an hour some concept. Like for example, you can read half an hour about Gandhian philosophy, and then answer another half an hour something related to Gandhian philosophy. So like that you divide. In the case studies, you can take them from last 6 years UPSC question papers. Keep answer ready for all the case studies.
Right. So the next question is that this is asked by one aspirant that, sir, I take around 5 hours to analyze and note my mistakes in a single prelims test. How can I fasten this process? How can it be faster?
Yeah, right. So this I already addressed. So usually 5 to 8 hours it takes to completely analyze. So instead of going through each and every question, as I said in the beginning, just go through questions which you get wrong. So out of 100 questions, if you get 40 questions wrong, so 40 questions, you read them thoroughly, you analyze them thoroughly for say 1.5 to 2 hours. Remaining 60 questions, you just run through, you just glance through them. You don't have to spend too much of time on them. So only important ones you can spend time. Thereby you can reduce time and accommodate more number of question papers. It's the same question paper when you do second time revision, then you can actually devote more time to other questions, where you want to revise more.
Right. So there is this next question which has come from some 4 students in total. They want to know that, sir, I want to start Insta 75 revision plan. So is this plan enough for our preparation for prelims?
Yeah, see I already showed in the slide Insta 75 days revision plan. So it has many components. It has preliminary previous UPSC papers, previous insights, all the mock tests, and yeah. So it is actually more than enough because we give you around 30 questions at the end of the day. Plus we are asking you to do our current affairs quiz, monthly current affairs, 2 test series, both subject wise and textbook test series, 3 revisions, and Yojana from January 2019 to April 2020. If you haven't done this till now, you can just go through all the questions. So important areas from all these things are already covered. From now onwards, when the plan is continuing, so focus mainly on the revision of test series and current affairs quiz and previous year UPSC papers. You narrow down to these 3 things and revise them multiple times. So I personally believe that this is the best way to prepare and get confidence for clearing prelims.
Right. So the next question is that one student is asking, how can one study mapping effectively, and is it advisable to take geology or civil engineering as an option?
See, for UPSC, both geology and civil engineering you shouldn't take. Even geography is not advisable. So then there are certain optionals which does very well every year. Presently, anthropology is doing very well. Political science is doing very well, and then sociology decently doing well. It ultimately comes down to how well you prepare and how well you write answers. But the problem with optionals like geology, civil engineering is that they are too technical in nature, and for some reasons people don't score very good marks. So I have seen personally students even from my IITs and all, they fail to get even 250 plus in their first or second attempt. Eventually they get 300 plus, but you waste lots of time. So because you are after marks, go with the most important, the one which is getting very good marks, and prepare for that. And regarding your which was the other question, sorry, I forgot. So when with respect to optional and yeah. Hello.
Yeah, how to study mapping effectively.
Yeah, so the mapping is just go through all the questions that Insights has given, right? So now you don't have time. So if you want to do by yourself, you don't have time now. You've already exhaustively covered in test series. I think that is the best way. Or if you want to cover yourself, and that is not advisable now. No, because you have to identify lots of places, and then you have to go with the Oxford the student atlas. That is the best way, but it should be done only through based on previous year 20 years UPSC questions and whatever we have already covered. I mean, just remember them. If 5 questions are asked, you can easily answer 3 questions.
Right. So the next question is coming from someone named Dhiman, a student named Dhiman. He's asking, will the time for mains be reduced, or it is also going to shift as well?
No, let's say there is a logic why they keep around 110, 120 days between prelims and mains. There are around 9 papers where you need to actually prepare comprehensively, and that time will not be reduced. So we have like in 16, the exam was conducted in prelims was conducted in somewhere around June, and mains in December. The final result was announced on May 31st. Uh, the gap was same, like around 110, 120 days. It's not going to reduce at any cost. So absolutely don't worry about it. You will have minimum 100 to 110 days. That is assured.
So one question is from a student named Ankita. She's asking, sir, how to eliminate options in economics?
So, I mean, you have to address this question with example, because economic, like there are so many questions related to macroeconomy. So see, it comes to one thing, conceptual clarity. So you read NCERT, class 12th NCERT macro introduction to macroeconomics. The most important chapter 2 to 3 times. Understand the core concepts in and out. As I already repeated, previous year economic questions. The best way is you remember them thoroughly, because most of the economic questions are not factual but conceptual. If there are 10 questions, around 6 to 7 questions are always conceptual in economy. So that is the trend. So once you have the conceptual clarity, it is very easy to eliminate. Okay, so that is the only one way to go.
Right. So this student named Nakul Yadav, he is asking that about public administration. Is it an upcoming optional, and should one focus on it?
So PubAd has recovered. Okay, like earlier it was targeted, so-called targeted. You were not doing so well. Public administration as an optional, now people are scoring 290 to 310 in that range. More people are scoring, more toppers are visible in top 100 now with public administration. You can go with public administration. It's a very good optional now. So I would say it is now top 10 optional, one of the top 10 options.
So the next question is that, sir, will we get the segregated questions of the online test series, year-long test series?
For prelims, so these are already put in all the question banks that are coming up, updated question banks. So we didn't have the plan. Like if you request, we can definitely do that. That is not an issue with us. But they're already available in the question bank. Even the 2020 questions, we have already put in the environment economy question banks.
So there's next question. Sir, I have started my preparation very late, and I have started preparing from April. So can I still crack it?
Prelims, you can crack it. Prelims, if you follow this strategy, if you are really smart and if your memory is very good, prelims you can definitely clear. But I'm not sure about mains, because it depends on, as I said, optional. If you have already done optional, then you can go on to clear mains as well. If you do intensive writing practice of for 3 months after prelims, you can clear mains as well. It depends on optional. But prelims you can clear with this approach, because it's more of elimination round. It's more of a test of nerves. If you're a strong individual, if you're not afraid of the exam, and if you solve all the mock tests at least 3 to 4 times, go through quizzes, revision questions, and these question banks, so definitely you have chance to clear prelims.
The next question is that, sir, my mock scores are not increasing above 60. Do you suggest solving 2 mocks each day if my scores are less?
Definitely. I said like 200 to 300 questions should be the norm right now. So in fact, for our offline OGP and core batch students, we were telling them to solve 200 questions from January itself. Before that, I was asking to do 50 questions every day. So right now, definitely do minimum 2 marks every day. That will easily improve your score. Plus, at the same time, revise whatever insta tests you have given previously. Right. So revision is the key. So solving 2 marks with good revision of all the questions you get wrong, plus the questions which you get wrong in insta test, revise them also. You will see that your score will definitely improve to 21, 22 within some 10 days.
The next question is from Prakriti Singh. She's asking that, sir, will it be smart to solve an essay every Sunday because the pre is now postponed?
See, essay is a very beautiful paper that UPSC has put. I would recommend you to write at least 30-40 essays before mains, and it will easily help you get 150 plus. So the more you write, the better. And Sunday spending 2 hours on essay paper is not a waste of time. It actually helps you gain confidence. We are giving diverse topics. Yesterday we gave topics on migrants issue. Before that, many philosophical topics. So writing essays on diverse topics will prepare your mind for the better for the exam, because now one section is entirely dedicated to philosophical topics and another for the current issues. So uh, do right, it is not going to affect your prelims. In fact, it will help you both in prelims and mains indirectly.
Next question is that, sir, is it necessary to cover static part of science and technology, or only current affairs will suffice?
So as I said earlier, don't go with the static of science and technology. Don't go with bulky books. More questions on information technology, space, biotechnology, whichever concept you can get on these things. More of dynamic nature, right? And while studying this dynamic, there is always a static conceptual background to these dynamic issues, right? So, for example, if you want to for example, whoever won Nobel Prize last year for medicine or for chemistry. So if you can understand their research well, there's a probability of getting question on that, right? So instead of reading each and everything from science textbooks and all, narrow down to current affairs.
So another question is, sir, how to apply value-added material in mains answers?
How to apply value-added materials? See, they are the quick revision materials. Okay, you have to read them both from prelims and mains point of view. With respect to, they will be helpful more in remembering some important facts. So what you can do is that you make your own small notes. Like for example, if we give you 100-page document, you have to reduce it to some 10-15-page document. Only the important facts which you cannot memorize or remember or retain well. Right. So keep revising that 10-page document which you create, and that is how you should apply it.
So we'll take the last question. Students are asking how to overcome the fear of answer writing.
So the fear of answer writing can now be easily overcome by watching our new initiative on YouTube. I can, where one IAS topper, Kritika Madam, she is daily actually giving you a question and telling you how to answer it. So you try to answer. Next, you can compare your answer with the I can initiative. But you can overcome this fear only by initiating yourself. You don't have to imagine or think that you are going to write the best perfect answer in the first go itself. You start with a very worst answer, very ridiculous answer. Then it will take, I will promise you that if you write answer regularly for 25 to 30 days, after 30-40 days you will start writing like a pro. The key is consistency. You start with a very bad answer, then compare with what we are discussing on secure, initiative, and in secure you write an answer and also answer to I can question. Compare with what Kritika is discussing on the website, in the YouTube video, and then slowly improve. So it is proportionate to your practice plus the amount of knowledge you are gaining on day-to-day basis. So earlier question, how to apply this knowledge, whatever revision you make, you have to use all the facts, examples, somehow you bring them, make them relevant in these answers, right? So start, whoever is asked that question, I would recommend you to immediately after this webinar just take a pen and paper, write an answer. You just write it today and you will overcome the fear.
There's one or two small important questions that have come. So one student is asking that I have not read the standard books on environment and polity, but now I'm fearful of scoring less in these subjects. Is it a good idea to read and revise the revision module given by Insights?
So revision model is more of current oriented. So with respect to standard textbook, you have to read polity, but as I said, not the entire textbook. You don't have time to read entire textbook. So read chapters on parliament, union government, judiciary, DPSP, fundamental rights, and the constitutional bodies. These are very important. Some historical background, like 6 to 7 chapters. So that I mentioned in this slide. Read them 5 to 6 times rather than reading the entire textbook. With respect to environment, I absolutely against reading the textbook for environment because it's more of a dynamic topic. So go through the question bank, and we have updated with the so many questions. Plus whatever environment questions we have covered in the test series and current affair quizzes. So you restrict yourself to these questions, and it is more than sufficient.
So one student is asking that is it a good option to take botany as an optional if one has a graduation in botany and also has an ongoing post graduation in the same subject?
See, you can go with botany. Last year we had a topper with botany, like he's in Indian Forest Service. This year he has given an interview. I'm sure he will get into civil service. You should go with botany or zoology only by putting yourself into a test. Take last year question paper, both paper 1 and paper 2, and try to solve all the questions based on your knowledge of undergraduation and the post graduation. If you think that you are able to really answer all the questions with neat, clear diagrams, and remember all the facts and recall all the facts while answering these questions, complete the paper on time, then you are good to go. The thing is, you have to be the best when you are writing these answers. Imagine yourself to be top 5 in India when it comes to botany. So if you have that much confidence, definitely go with botany.
So there are one or two more questions that one student is asking. What should be the approach to cover the economic survey?
Just go through the summary document. Like don't read both volumes, end to end. So we have created very good summary, and we have included so many economic survey questions in both InstaTest and preliminary question papers. So that is the best way, and you have to read it from both prelims and mains point of view. Mainly from mains point of view, right? So don't specific, because economic survey is about the trend of Indian economy for last 1 year. So there are descriptive elements in the economic survey which are more relevant to the mains. So here and there, interesting facts, that are covered in the revision, the economic survey summary. There you can read it, but read it mainly from mains point of view. In secure also we have covered so many questions. So just go through those questions also. See, in whatever you study, you narrow down to a few resources and study them repeatedly.
Right. So thank you so much, students. Thank you so much for attending, and thank you so much, Mr. Vinay, for giving us so much of information. on
Thank you so much.
on this topic, which most of the students are confused with a lot. And
Yeah.
if you have any questions, you can write us an email. And with regard to any questions on InsightsIAS test series, I will be giving an email address in the chat section. You can write an email there. And if you have any question with regard to which you want to ask Vinay, you can also email on that email address. Right. Thank you so much,
So wish
Mr.
you
Vinay,
all.
for
Yeah. Thank you very much. Wish you all the best. Thank you for giving this opportunity to connect with the students and connect with you. And wish you all the best. And everyone be safe, stay strong, and go and clear this exam. Wish you all the best. Thank you very much. Shall we end this?
yeah.
Thank you.